再向佛陀礼敬3拜，一顶礼，我顶礼，3顶礼。请翻开1课16页 ，page 16 ，page。原年Chanting 16。translate 真的，chat Bali first, then Chinese. In Chinese. ယောသောဘဂဝါရဟံသမ္မာသမ္ဗုဒ္ဓောသောအခါတောယေနဘဂဝတာဓမ္မောသုပတိปันโนยัสสะภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆธัมมายังภะคะวันตังสะธัมมังสะสังฆังอิเมหิสการะหิยะทารังอาโรปิเตหิอภิปุจจยามะสาธุโนพันเตภะคะวะสุจิระปารินิพพุตโตปิปัจฉิมาจนตานุกัมปมานัสสะอิเมสการะทุกขตาปันนาการะภุเตปฏิกันหะตุอัมหะกังดิการตังอิตายะสุขายะ那位世尊是阿罗汉正等正觉者，法是比世尊所上说，比世尊的弟子僧团是上行道者，以此供品，我们虔诚恭敬的敬奉与世尊法以及僧。善哉尊者，虽然世尊般涅槃已久，但祈请世尊出以悲悯后人之心，接受这些供品，以让我们得到长恒的利益与安乐法。阿拉汉萨玛萨布陀巴嘎哇布当巴嘎วัน当阿毗瓦đề弥。世尊是阿罗汉正等正觉者，我礼敬佛陀世尊。顶礼。所瓦卡多巴嘎瓦达ธัมโมDhammang namasami， 法乃世尊所上说，我礼敬。Supati panno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho saṅghang namami。僧伽，世尊之声闻弟子是上行道者，我礼敬僧伽。Annamayam buddhasa bhagavato pubbhavaga namagarangaro Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo dassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa。现在让我们来礼赞佛世尊。南无无上正等正觉的佛世尊阿罗汉。南无无上正等正觉的佛世尊阿罗汉。南无无上正等正觉的佛世尊阿罗汉。Andamayam bhutanusati yang garomase Tangko bana bhagavantang evaṁ garayano kittisato apugato iti biso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vichacharana sambano sugato logavitu anuttaro burisa dhamma sarati Sata Dewa Manusana Buddho Bhagavati。现在让我们来念诵佛谁念的方法。世尊的圣名广为流传，世尊是如此阿罗汉正等正觉者，明行具足者，善事世间解，无上士，调御丈夫，天人师，佛世尊。Antamayam Buddha Bhikitingaro Mase Buddha Varahanda Varata Diguna Biyuto Sutta Biyana Garuna Hisamakatato Bodhi Siyo Sujanatang Gamarang Vasuro Vandamaham Dhammaranam Sirasa Jineta Utto Yo Savabaninam Saranam Kemamutama Vatamanusati Dahana Vandamitang Sirenaham Buddha Sahasamira Soa Buddho me sami kisaro Buddho tukasagata javitata jaidasame Buddha sahaniya demi sariran jivitan jitang Wandan dohang jarisami Buddha sewa supotitang Nati me saranan anyang Buddho me saranang warang Etena saja wajena Wadeyang sadhu sasane Buddha me vandamanena Yam bunyam basutang ita Sape bi andaraya me Mahe Sutta Sate Jasa。现在，让我们来礼赞佛陀。佛陀拥有阿罗汉等诸功德及清净大智以大悲以身，他让善事觉醒，犹如阳光让莲花绽放。我俯首礼敬这无争者、胜利者。佛陀是所有众生最安稳的归依处。我俯首礼敬这地相的谁念处。我是佛陀的普世，佛陀是我的主人，佛陀是众苦的摧毁者，为我带来利益与安乐。对于佛，我愿奉献此身体与生命，我将奉行对上觉知佛陀的礼敬。与我并无其他皈依处，佛陀是我至上的皈依处。以此真实语，愿我在导师的教法中成长，以此礼敬佛陀的功德，愿一切显难自息。
无论于身与意，凡是我对佛陀所做的任何东西，愿佛陀接受我的认作。未来我会对佛陀恭敬谨慎。
Antamayam dhammanusathinayam garomase Swavakato bhagavata dhammo Sandidiko agaliko ehibasiko Obanaiko pachatang vedidabo vinyuhiti。现在，让我们来 念诵法谁念的方法。世尊所上妙宣说之法，是可亲自见证，无实的，可邀人来见证，导向涅槃的，由知者们各自证知的。Antamayang Dhamma Pikitingaro Mase Swakata Diguna Yoga Vasena Seyo Yoma Gavaga Pariyati Vimoka Peto Dhammo Kuro Kapatana Taratari Tari Wanda Mahang Dhammaharang Varatama Mitang Dhammo Yo Savapaninang Saranang Kemamutamang Tuttiyanusati Dhanang Wanda Mitang Sirenahang Dhamma Sahasamida Soa Dhammo Misami Kisaro Dhammo Dukha Sakata Javitata Jaidasame Dhamma Sahaniya Demi Sariran Jivitan Jitang Wandando Anjari Sami Dhamma Sewa Sutamatang Nati Me Saranan Anyang Dhammo Me Saranan Warang Etena saja wacena Wateyam sadhu sasane Dhammam mevan dhamanena Yam bunyam vasutang hita Sape vi andarayame Mahe sunda sape jasa 现在让我们来礼赞法。法是殊胜的，具有世尊善说等诸功德，可分为道、仪、果、教、礼仪、解脱。法不持奉行法的人，免堕二道。我虔诚的礼敬昨夜的法，黑暗的摧毁者。法是所有众生最安稳的归依处。我俯首礼敬这第二项的邪念处。我是法的补世，法是我的主人。法是众苦的摧毁者，为我带来利益与安乐。对于法，我愿奉献此身体与生命。我将奉行对法义真理的礼敬，与我并无其他归依处。法是我至上的归依处。以此真实语，愿我在导师的教法中成长。以此礼敬法的功德，愿一切险难都止息。Ayena vajaya vajetasawa Dhamme ugamam bhagatam mayaya Dhammo vadivannatu vachetam Dharantare samvaitam vatamme
无论于生于义，凡是我对法所做的任何功业，愿法接受我的认说，未来我对法恭敬。
Antamayang samghanusati yang garo mase Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Ujjupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Nyāyapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Samicipatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Yatidang cattari purisa yukani atta purisa pugala Esa bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Ahuneyo bahuneyo Nagineyo Anjari karaniyo Anutarang bunya ketang rogasati 现在让我们来赞颂及谁念生劫之功德。生劫世尊的弟子是善行道者， 生前世尊的弟子是正直行道者，生前世尊的弟子是如理行道者，生前世尊的弟子是正当行道者，他们只是世双八辈人。这生前世尊的弟子值得供养，值得殷勤礼敬，值得布施，值得合掌敬礼，是世间无上的福田。Annamaya sangha bhikitinga romase Satamma jo supatipati gunadiyuto Yodabito ariya bhugara sangha seto Siratidama bhavara sayakaya cito Dhammaraham dhammariyana kanang susudang Sangho yo sabhabaninang saranang gemamutama Tatiyanu satidana vandamitang sirenaham Sangha sasamira suva Sangho me sami kisaro Sangho tukha sakata javitata jahidasame Sangha sahaniya demi sariran jivitam jitam Vandandohan jarisami Sangha sobhadivanatang Nati me saranan anjam Sangho me saranam waram Etena saja wajena Vadeyam sadhu sasane Sangha me vandamanena Yam bunyam vasutang gita Sape bihandaraya me Mahen sutang sate jasa 现在让我们来礼赞生前。由正法而生，有善于行道等诸德行。无上生前由世双八辈圣者组成，以戒律与法来引导其身心。我礼敬那群清净的圣众。生前是所有众生最安稳的归处。我俯首礼敬这第三项的随念处。我是生前的卜士，生前是我的主人，生前是众苦的摧毁者。为我带来利益与安乐。对于生前，我愿奉献此身体与生命。我将奉行对生前善修的崇敬，与我并无其他归依处。生前是我至上的归依处。以此真实语，愿我在导师的教法中成长。以此礼敬生前的功德，愿一切显难都止息。
Sanghe upamam bhagatam vajayam Sangho padikana tulacendam Lalantare samaritum vasanghe 如为生理，然后有生前所做的有生前接受我们的做，未来我们生前光景。大家请辅助。
我第些问了，大家请翻开47页，因常思为之无法。Annamaya apina bhajavekana batang banamase Jara dhammo jara anatito Vayanti dhammo vayati anatito Marana dhammo marana anatito Sape me behinana behinana bhavo vina bhavo Gamma sakohi gamma dayato gamma yoni gamma bantu gamma bhati sarano Yanga mangarisami Karayana wa babhagan wa Tasadayato bhavisami Ewa amehi apinyam pachavekitapam 现在让我们来诵念因常失为之无法。衰老是自然的法则，我并不能超越衰老。病苦是自然的法则，我并不能超越病苦。死亡是自然的法则，我并不能超越死亡。我所拥有的一切，无论是喜欢或珍惜的，最后将会与我们背离或分散的。我是业的主人，是自己业的继承人，由自己的业而生，是自己业的亲族，依自己的业的滋生而活。无论我造何种业，善的或恶的，我们必将去承担。我们应当时时如此思维及反省。请翻开第50页，无常的形式。Andamaya aniccanusati bhatang vanamase Sape sankhara anicca Sape sankhara dukkha Sape dhamma anatta Aduvan jivitang Duvan maranang Awasamaya maritapang Marana bariyo sana me jivitang Jivitam me aniyatang Marana me niyatang Wada ayangayo ajirang Apeda vinyano Chuto Atisesati Patawin Karinggarang Iwaniratam Anicca Wada Sanghara Uppatawa Yadamino Uppajitawa Nirojanti Desa Upasamo Sukho 现在让我们来醒思无常。诸行无常，诸行是苦，诸法无我。生命不是永恒的，死亡却是恒久的。我将会死，那是必定的。生命的终结即是死亡，生命是如此不定，死亡却是肯定的。的确，这个身体不久的将来没有了时，舍弃了，也会躺在这里，埋在地下，如同一块朽木般无用。一切因缘和合法行皆是无常的，升起与灭去是其本质，升起之后必定会灭去。一切因缘和合法里面是乐。Next page 接下来下一页，接下去。Andamaya ovada patimokkha gatayo vanamase Sapa papasa agaranam Kusara supasambada Sacita bariyota panam Etam buddhana sasanam Kanti paramanta potitika Nippanam paramam vatati buddha Nahi papacito parupakati Samano hoti parang vihetayanto 阿努巴瓦多阿努巴嘎多巴迪摩给扎桑瓦罗玛达尤达扎巴达萨米班达扎萨亚那萨能阿提吉德扎阿尤科etam bhutana sasanam。现在让我们来诵念师教授婆罗提木叉文：诸恶莫作，众善奉行，自尽其意，是诸佛教。忍辱为最高苦行，断除烦恼。诸佛皆说涅槃为最上，害他实非出家者，恼他者不明为沙门。不谤以不害，原持一戒律，饮食之解量，远处而独居，群修真上定，是诸佛所教。Ajahn Page 31，请翻开第31页，回向学。Andhamayam uti sanaditana gatayo banamase imina bunya gamena upajaya gunutara ajariyo bagaraja mata bita jayataka suriyo jandi maharaja Guna Vandana Rabicha Rama Maharaja Indacha Loka Baracha Tewata Yamomita Manusaja Majata Verika Picha Sape Sata Sukhi Hondo Punyani Patata Nime Sukam jati vitam dentu ipam bape dawo matang imihna punya kamena imihna udisena cha kipahang surape cewa sanhu badana cedana yesanane ina dhamma yawani panato mama Nasandu sabada yewa yata jato bawe bawe ucu citan sati banya sare ko viriyamina marala pandu nogasam katu cawiriye sume uttadi pawaro nato dhammo nato varutamo Nato pacega puto cha Sangho nato daro mamang Deso dhamanupavena Maroga sangrapantuma。现在让我们来回向许愿，愿以此功德回向于对我有大恩德的解师、师长、恩人、父母亲及一切亲属，日神月神具足崇高德行的人，梵天、摩罗、因陀罗，为世间的天神众、夜摩天及一切人类，不管是亲密的、不相识的，以及是冤仇的人，愿他们快乐，愿我所得之功德带来三种乐：现世、来生及解脱。愿心愿能早日实现，愿以此福业以回向的功德，使我能速除心中的苛爱与执取，在我还未大到证悟涅槃之前，愿我任何不好的数值得消除，每一生每一世，不管我身在何处，愿我以殊胜的慈心、正念及智能及精进，铲除一切的烦恼，恶魔不再有任何机会趁机破坏我的精进了。佛陀是我昨夜的归依处，佛法是我至上的归依处，必知佛及生解是我殊胜的归依处。 凭着他们无比的威力，摩罗不再有任何机会。好，晚课结束啊，我们先一起礼佛。你们顶礼师父啊。
Good evening, Ajahn. Now we will bow 3 times to all the Sangha. First bow, second bow, and third bow. Ajahn, thank you for coming to join us tonight. First, we will chant the Namo Tassa 3 times, and then we will do the Buddhang Saranang Gacchami and the Pancha 5 precepts. Okay, 3 requisites and 5 precepts. So we will start first.
Not the 3 precepts and the 5 refuges, no?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. We will recite in 2 languages, the Pali and the Chinese. Okay. Just for the benefit of all. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. 南无无上正等正觉的佛，世尊阿罗汉。南无无上正等正觉的佛，世尊阿罗汉。南无无上正等正觉的佛，世尊阿罗汉。Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. 我祈求皈依佛，我祈求皈依法，我祈求皈依僧。第二次，我祈求皈依佛。第二次，我祈求皈依法。第二次，我祈求皈依僧。第三次，我祈求皈依佛。第三次，我祈求皈依法。第三次，我祈求皈依僧。
Ti sarana gamanang nitithang.
Ama Pante.
Are you going for the precepts yourself, or should I recite first?
You can lead us. You'll be great.
Or just do your regular thing. And it's my first time, so I don't know. I just follow your advice.
Why
before
not?
that you do it by yourself, basically.
Okay, can.
ปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ我求受学习不杀生戒อาดินนาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ我求受学习不偷盗戒กาเมสุมิจฉาจาราเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ我求受学习不邪淫戒มุสาวาดาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ我求受学习不妄语戒สุราเมรยะมัจจปมาดฐานาเวรมณีสิกขาปะดังสมาธิยามิ我求受学习不饮酒不迷色自性戒
อิมานิปัญจสิกขาปดานิสีเลนะสุขติยันติสีเลนะโภกสัมปดาสีเลนะนิพุติยันติตัสมาสีลังวิโสดาเย
สาธุสาธุสาธุ
Let us bow 3 times again. First bow. Second bow. And third bow. Ajahn, would you like to do a self-introduction?
Before that, maybe we chant.
Yes, so first of all, do you hear me? I don't know if you can properly hear me. We had a storm outside, and the rain is even half coming into our tunnel, our bunker. So you hear us already, right?
Yes, the PA system is very clear. We cannot hear the background noise. So we would like to do the Brahma chant.
Dhamma discourse. So before the Dhamma talk starts, shall we have a Dhamma discourse to chant the Dhamma discourse?
Please.
Brahma Jaloka Thi Bhakti Sahang Bhakti Các tan Jali An Thi Vạc Rang Aya Giác Thạc San Ti Thạc Sắc Ta Bạc Rạc Giác Thạc Giác Tích Ca Hê Sê Thủ Thang Mang Anu Cang Bích Mang Bạc Giang
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us bow 3 times to Ajahn again. First bow. Second bow. Third bow.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. So, good evening into the world, I guess. So can I ask where you are? I've heard Singapore, Malaysia, is that correct?
Yes, we are here in NDR, Singapore. And in Malaysia, there's a lot of us online joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes. Can I introduce myself? Yes.
Yes,
I'm not
please
so into this official Dhamma Talk thing because it's my first time actually doing it. I was kind of half forced to sit here. I just arrived actually. But my monk's name is Thirachitto. Thirachitto Bhikkhu. And in kind of monks, friend circles, I have a nickname. It's called Dan, from my lay name Daniel. Like they call me Tandan or Krupa Dan or Ajahn Dan. So Dan Thirachitto. And I'm from Germany. And I ordained in Thailand, and I'm here since 10 years. So it's my 10th Vasa. And last 2 months, I'm on a kind of a pilgrimage, on a wandering tour, like you're probably familiar with, Tudong. And it's my first time coming to the Mae Hong Son province. So, and by coincidence, 2-3 days ago, I arrived here at Ajahn Chagino's place. And actually, I didn't know him. I didn't know much about the place, but I quite like it. So I stay probably few more days. And on the first day arriving, Ajahn already kind of invited me to have a talk on Wednesday. I tried to refuse, but he said they would like to see and speak with a ordained Western monk in Thailand because he gives talks a lot. So I could help him out of giving a little bit of Dhamma discussion or something. So, yes. So how many people are actually listening? I just see 2 screens, or are there more people in the background?
We have a live on Facebook and also Zoom, but the Zoom mainly will be for our committee who organize a Zoom. So Zoom, we don't have much people. Most of on Facebook.
So yeah, please forgive me. I'm a little bit clumsy with this stuff. It's my first Zoom meeting in this kind of style. So it's everything a bit new, talking to a computer and seeing myself there. Yes. Now, first of all, do you have any questions? I kind of haven't answered about my person or something. Okay, if there's no question, then
maybe we check with the Facebook. Facebook people, you have any question, you can type on the Facebook, and then we will ask to a chance through the Zoom here.
No, I don't want to make it complicated, but I just thought maybe we can have a little bit question answers, but if it's a little bit too complicated, I just try to talk about something comes up in my mind. Like right now, before coming here and witnessing and participating in this wonderful chanting. So I have to praise the 2 venerables next to me. Was especially the leading, but also the accompanying voice was extraordinary. Anumodana for this beautiful chanting. I haven't chanted in a group for a long while because I'm kind of living alone for a while now. And it's a delight to have some kind of half professional, or let's say professional chanters here. Gives a really good feeling, isn't it? I hope you lay people also kind of enjoyed that nice sound in this beautiful kind of acoustics of this carved bunker here. But while we were chanting outside, there was a storm, quite a heavy storm going on. And maybe I thought you even didn't hear the chanting because it was quite loud. But obviously you didn't hear it. So then I was thinking maybe we are here in a kind of in a Dhamma hall, which kind of resembles a bunker. We are in a tunnel, and so quite safe from the storm outside, which was quite heavy. So in the Dhamma practice also, we have to make a refuge, which is basically, could call it a bunker if you want to. And as I understand it, as I practice it, this bunker, this refuge, this shelter is in the triple gem, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, but still that is a little bit too theoretical, I would say, right? So in our practice, we try to establish a refuge in ourselves. And I would argue we establish mindfulness in the body, in our body. When we are established inside our body, we are not really getting blown away by the storms of the sensual realm. Because our normal living condition is being engaged with the six senses. Like in Buddhism, as you all know, probably we are having six senses. The sixth sense is the thinking sense. And we are perceiving the world, we are living just through these channels, through these six channels. And also our happiness is searched through these six channels. But also, as we've heard through the Buddha's teachings and experienced probably ourselves, that searching happiness in one of these six channels is a little bit futile, I would say, right? We searching, we hampering after happiness, let's say, of seeing beautiful sights, smelling good stuff, eating good food, making adventurous experiences, and so on and so on. But in the end, they are quite fleeting. We don't have any kind of substance left for our happiness when that first kick of happiness dissipates. But as a non-practitioner, someone who has not really come to the Buddha's teaching and practice mindfulness and samadhi meditation, has no chance of finding a refuge from these six senses, because we don't know something else. So in Buddhist meditation, we try to pull our interest in the sixth sense world, which is always outside of this body. We try to pull that energy, that attention back into ourselves, which is the body first, right? We have to start practicing where we are, basically where we're sitting right now, and establish body mindfulness. That means we are actively engage our mind and try to get sensitive to the body outside and inside. And when that is accomplished, then we call it body mindfulness, or mindfulness immersed in the body. The technical term in Pali is kaya gata sati, right? There's this beautiful English translation of mindfulness immersed, gone into the body. And when that is established, then we are secure from the pulls of the sensual realm, or let's say quite secure. Because when the mind is established inside and gets interested in the inside, the feeling inside, then interest in the sensual world naturally drops away. Because when we keep our mind engaged inside this body realm, right, we can also call it satipatthana, right? The first satipatthana is the body itself, the rupa khandha. And when we're inside, then after a while, a subtle happiness will start to rise, right? And we more and more get a shelter, because that shelter is happiness itself. Self-generated happiness, which comes from the heart, which comes from our own practice, from our own wisdom, to keep the mind inside and not letting it stray outside the whole time, because it makes the mind agitated, right? All the time, the mind basically goes through the eyes and wants to see something, right? And when it sees something it likes, even more desire is activated. And desire itself, that's the nature of mind phenomenon, makes the mind restless, makes it more greedy, makes it even more dissatisfied. The same is for the other six senses. We want to hear, we want to listen to some good sounds, pleasant sounds. But if we hear unpleasant sound, we get stabbed. We get stabbed in the heart, we reject, we want to go away, we get angry at the sound and so forth. So this, we are liable to the sensual world, impingement, non-stop, 24/7. And until we practiced what we all, I would argue, experienced already in the practice, this being inside, this little bit samadhi, having sati, mindfulness already kind of immersed and getting a stilled mind through that, seeing the benefit of it and finding that pleasure inside, which is basically a bait for the mind to stay inside, right? If we keep basically the mind occupied inside the body with sensations, feelings, whatever you call it, energies, if you develop that more and more, that inside happiness grows, and the stronger that inside happiness and calm gets, the less you want to go out through the senses and search for your happiness. Because that search for happiness comes out of a desire, of an underlying problem, which is we are dissatisfied, right? That's why we go to search for a pleasure kick through these 6 sense doors. Even thinking, like when we're sitting here and we're getting bored, we start to think about the past, which is also a sense. Thinking about the past is engaging the thinking sense. So basically we go back and search for some old memories, to half digested old memories, and try to basically vomit them up again and swallow them down again and taste them. But as we all know, vomit is not so tasty. And exactly that's the happiness we get out of old memories. We just try to squeeze happiness out of them, but actually there's of no substance. So we are kind of caught in that cycle of suffering, of dissatisfaction, and trying to get more happiness. But in the end, we just get a little, and it's futile. So we've established mindfulness in the body, right? Many kind of different traditions give it different names. Then a calm and happy mind stays automatically engaged inside. You don't have to force the mind anymore to stay there. But to reach that stage, we have to practice a lot. It just does not come easily, right? Some people have more talent, some not. Some have parami, some have not so much parami. So we have to practice. And that's what we're all doing, I guess. And the pathway to get this kaya kata sati, this mindfulness immersed in the body, established, as you also might know, have heard, is kind of perfectly described in one of my favorite suttas from the Majjhima Nikaya, the Kaya Gata Sati Sutta itself, like the sutta about mindfulness or contemplation about the body. And what is interesting in that sutta is that the first part, or the first meditation instructions the Buddha gives, the first 4 steps are the same first steps like in the Anapanasati Sutta, which is the sutta, the discourse on mindfulness of breathing. But that Anapanasati Sutta has 16 steps to develop, like the Buddha said. But these first 4 steps are the same in this development of body mindfulness sutta, which is quite interesting. That seems that the Buddha thinks that we just need these 4 breath practices to get a proper, let's say, get to a proper position where we can do the other contemplations of the body, which you also know are kind of manifold. Like we can contemplate the body parts, the 32 body parts. We can contemplate the elements of the body, the four great dhatus. We can do corpse meditation and so on. It's kind of a list in the sutta, what to do or how to contemplate the body, that wisdom arises, and finally wisdom for liberation arises. But the first 4 steps is basically the Anapanasati instructions, the instructions of the Buddha, how to do that mindfulness of breathing. And can I just ask you, are you familiar with, because I don't know anybody in your group, but I guess you're kind of good and long-term meditators, so you probably know about mindfulness of breathing. Can you please answer me?
You mean Anapanasati?
Yes, you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah, most of us use this method for our cultivation.
Oh, that's perfect. That's really good. You never go wrong with breath meditation as a topic. So, yes. So, yeah, I have 10 years as a monk, but I'm also, you know, I'm still practicing. I still have doubts about some things, and I still find new things out. So I just give you a little bit, you know, encouragement, I would say, or new kind of perspectives from my own practice. What I find useful, I try to kind of communicate to you. Maybe it is of some benefit. So how I see this Anapanasati, this mindfulness of the breath, meditation instructions, 4 steps the Buddha gives. And these 4 steps are, or were a long time, I would say, misunderstood, maybe mistranslated even, but kind of newer research on better translations, newer translations kind of tend towards basically show that the experience of many meditators who took a different approach, a different meaning to that text or to these 4 steps, find validation in that. And I just go kind of quickly through these 4 steps. Like the first step, as you might know, is Buddha says we should be mindful, we should know, we should be aware of the process of in-breathing and out-breathing, right? We should know I'm breathing in long. I'm breathing out long. I'm breathing in short. I'm breathing out short. These are kind of in quotation marks. Basically, it's a speech, like what Buddha's mind or the Buddha wants our mind kind of to recognize or to even to utter. Some people even have this phrase in their mind, but that's not really necessary. But I think we get the point when the Buddha, when in the suttas we have it in basically quotation marks, that this is basically the attitude we have to get. We have to know that breathing. What does that mean? I always had problems with this word knowing. Also in my German language, close to the English language, is more kind of intellectual knowing, you know, like, yeah, I know I'm breathing in. I know, otherwise I would be dead. It's quite naturally, I guess. But that pajanati, that knowing, is really being aware, experiencing it, and what you experience, you have to know. And that's basically that's awareness. We have to develop awareness of that process. And in many schools, we have these kind of meditations instructions to focus on the nose tip or some points in the body like chest or the belly or whatever. But the Buddha actually never said this. So what did the Buddha say? Yes, the first 2 steps that he said, we should be mindful of the breathing process. This is my addition of the process of breathing in long or we breathing in short. That means we have to know. We can summarize it. We have to know the quality of the breathing. And if there's no awareness, you kind of may know that you're breathing, but you don't know the quality of the breathing. If it's actually a long in-breath, out-breath, if it's kind of warmer or cool, if it's going down into the belly area, or if it's kind of a chest breathing, I am breathing through the nose or the mouth. Like kind of these questions you can ask yourself to establish these 4, or to train in these four modes. And since you're all familiar, or most of you familiar with this Anapanasati practice, and that is your basis, so you know what I'm speaking about. But especially for beginners, and sometimes not so just for beginners, they have long time a problem, including myself. I had really a long time problem of understanding that instruction. I just could not make sense of my breathing. It sounds ridiculous, but I actually could not really stay or even feel my breathing. There's just 1 second here, and then my mind was gone again, and I didn't actually understand why we should do that. It didn't make any sense. It was boring and so on. And I did this for years with not much results. I don't even actually know why I continue meditating. It was not so pleasant. But then after a long while, I started to read the suttas and get exposed to some kind of modern teachers in our tradition. And step by step, it got revealed to me that the third step of that breath meditation instructions, which reads basically, I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out, experiencing the whole body. I'm breathing in, I feel, I experience, I'm aware of the whole body phenomena. I'm breathing out. While I'm breathing out, in the same time, simultaneously, I'm aware of my bodily existence and how it feels, the experience of having a body through the work of anchoring the mind on the breathing, and that is a pathway into the body awareness. So, and that third step was a long time misunderstood or even mistranslated as the whole breath body. Right? They couldn't really believe or understand that this word, sapakaya or sapakaya sankhara, means actually the whole body. So they just took the breathing itself as the meditation object and just stayed with that. And basically the body came later, if at all. So in my personal practice, that was a crucial point in understanding meditation and getting some good results out of it, some peace of mind, some relaxation in the body, and then other things followed after practicing that for a while. So through kind of a few teachers, through readings of some Dhamma meditation instructions, especially from a Thai group Ajahn called Tan Poli. He was a disciple of Luang Por Man, you probably know him. I basically one day extended my awareness from the tip of the nose into my head, into my brain. And then one teacher said, basically it was a YouTube video, I remember, American monk. I watched the YouTube video, I was still a layperson, and he made this movement. Why I said, you be mindful breathing in and you are mindful breathing out. And then he had this fist in front of his head and relaxed his fist. And I was meditating at the same time. And when he said breathing out and relax your brain, in that moment, I had these pleasant sensations in my brain, and I felt that my whole skull actually was the whole time tense. I had muscle tensions behind the eyes. I had muscle tensions where are no muscles actually in the brain. So at least it felt like it. My neck was tense, my scalp was tense. And with that movement, with his explanation of releasing it, feeling your inside of the brain, which was a new concept to me. Nobody told me you can actually feel inside your body. Normally we just think we can feel pains. When something's wrong, you feel kind of your guts hurt, or my heart aches or whatever, or I have a headache. But in the normal condition, we are able to feel our bodies. Neutral, you can say. And in that moment, that release, I just had to see that visual kind of instruction, and it happened to me. So I did some research afterwards because it was really pleasant, and my sitting was extraordinary cool for that part of my meditation career. And I was extremely happy and also flabbergasted because, yeah, I never heard that instructions before. So I had this relaxation going inside, which I could extend. I could relax my eyes, the muscle behind my eyes. I could go down my cheeks, my throat, my chest, and with every out breathing, I relaxed more and more until even the pain I had in my knee was just gone, because there was a full body relaxation happening. And after that relaxation happened, I felt cool and pleasant, and immediately a feeling or a thought come up, that's holy. That was the response of my mind. That is holiness. That is holiness. That's how it should feel inside. This is pleasant. This is extraordinary. This is good, which was not, a really high attainment at all. This is just a normal turning inwards and relaxing your bodily sensations. But what came out of it was, for me, extraordinary. So I made some research, and ever since, I'm basically a fan of Anapanasati with the whole body in focus. So but we cannot just go easily into that body awareness. This is for the most people, not all. Some people have a natural inclination. You just tell them, feel your body, go into your body, they can do it. They stay inside and even get kind of interested. But most of us, including myself, we have to work hard on it, to establish that, basically to get our birthright back, to get back into the Buddha calls it ancestral territory. This is what's kind of, until we die, we could say it's ours. Right? I know there's anatta in the Buddhist teachings, but first of all, this is inside this body, under this skin, this layer of skin. This is what we actually have the most control over, about our bodies. But if we don't feel them, if we are not really aware of the body, I mean, who is steering our life actually, right? If you contemplate that and you have this kind of first experience of having this mindfulness in the body and not having it, you have this, like true faith comes up in the instructions of the Buddha, because you see your life changes, right? Your interaction with people change, right? The quality of life changes if you develop this mindfulness inside. So, but most of us cannot just establish that inside awareness again. So we have to gradually work on it. So in the Goenka school, for example, I've heard, I never said a Goenka course, but many of my monk friends kind of came from that tradition. So how they explain it to me, they also did do kind of a body scan and try step by step developing sensations, or I think they call them sensations, or awareness of the body, step by step. They then go a different path of looking for anicca, quite, I would say, a little bit too early, but that fundamental work to establish more and more mindfulness of your existence, which is the body in the first place, is a good practice. Is, I think, the right path. So for most people, we have to start with one basically point or one area of where we can focus on the breathing, where we actually feel the breathing process, which is for the most people the nose tip, or like the upper lip or whatever, where you actually feel the breathing, the air element, the wind touching. There is a touching sensation, and when you have external sensations on the outside of the skin, that's something you can anchor your mind on, right? But that didn't really work for me well in the beginning. Now it does, but in the beginning not. So I tried to watch the whole process, like breathing in into the belly and the air goes out again. I did not really follow it, but I just was more globally aware of that breathing in my body and the sensations kind of arising through it, which is in the beginning not easy, but I could do it after a while. So, but still, if you force the mind, you have to sit down in meditation, the mind doesn't budge. The mind doesn't like it. The mind finds it boring. So, and now comes that step handy of the Buddha, the third step. And when we investigate in that sutta, we see that actually the verb changes from step 2 to step 3. He says, we train ourselves to breathe in, experiencing the whole body. Breathing out, experiencing the whole body. So we have to train ourselves. It's not nothing natural we already have. So we have to establish it. We have to train ourselves. But in the first 2 steps of that meditation instructions, it is the knowing. We just should be getting basically familiar with that breathing process. Oh, I'm alive. I have a body, but I actually never paid attention to that automatic function of the body, which is the breathing. That the Buddha wants us to change that. So this we did in the first 2 steps, just getting familiar with that breathing process. Is it there? How it's there? How's the quality? Is it long? Is it short? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it pleasant or unpleasant? And then we train ourselves to get step by step experiencing the whole body. In the same time, we are breathing. And for me, where I kind of start to also believe what kind of some teacher called breath energy, or you kind of Chinese origin, I guess, know about the qi, right? The breath energy or the body energy. Before I had kind of started these practices, I didn't like that kind of new agey like energy word or concepts. I was really allergic to it, but afterwards it made really sense to me, because there is no scientific word to express the feeling inside the body. You can actually experience all the time right now, right? We can now just feel our hands. Maybe you can do it along. I'm talking, you're listening. Do you feel your right hand? Do you actually feel it? Do you know that's a part of your body? And probably now you find some tingling sensations in your right hand, or some sensations, some proof that it's alive, that it's connected to the body. And that's what I call, and different teachers call, including Ajahn Thirachitto, you might know, who I'm really fond of, Ajahn Tanisaropiku, and all kind of teachers who go that path with the full body awareness. They call that breath energy, or qi, or ki in Japanese. Like in English, we call it breath energy, or just energy, something which tells you that this part of the body is attached to you and alive. And you might have noticed that when I said, be aware of your right hand, the right hand became more alive. There's something going on which didn't before I told you to do that. So basically, I directed your mind towards the right hand, and then the sensations appeared, which before you were not even aware of your hand. It's maybe not easy to stay there, but basically you can feel your right hand. If you cannot feel it, you're paralyzed or numb. So you have to ask yourself, do I really feel it? And I can tell you now, you also have a left hand. Are you aware of that? So switch to the left hand. Just let the right hand drop and just go fully in the sensations of your left hand. How does it feel? Is there a flow of blood? Is there tingling sensations? Some call it vibrations. Whatever's there, whatever name you give it, you have to feel it. And you can give it name whatever you want. But we have to establish the concepts and explain the concepts that we can communicate, that we're talking about the same stuff. Like your kind of Chinese origin, the Confucian teachings of the Kongzi was the Zhengming, right? We have to get the meanings right first, what we're talking about. So this I kind of try to do, to get you an experience, what actually I mean by that term. So can you feel both hands simultaneously? Yes, you can. Boop, you see, it's there. In your awareness, in the priority, in the forefront of your awareness are the pulsating of your two hands. And that is basically body mindfulness, but just on kind of two parts. And that energy, that aliveness, that is right now existing in your whole body, but you might not be able to feel that in the whole body yet. So this is to be developed. To get there, we have to make the breath more subtle, right? We have to practice at it. We have to do it a long time. We have to do it a long time. Pull the mind back when it gets distracted. Pull the mind back. And the more the mind stays with the breathing process, or one point with the breathing process, that's up to you, the mind becomes calm. And when the mind becomes calm, then the breath automatically in the same time becomes more subtle, more delicious. And the more delicious, the more happy the breath is, the more the mind wants to stay with the breathing. So it's a kind of self-perpetuating process, which is kind of a spiral which goes deeper and deeper and deeper, basically into samadhi in the end, in jhana. But if we keep the focus just on one point, that's not strong enough. That's not stable enough. We get up from our meditation cushion when we are finished. We might have some happiness, some peace of mind, but then it's hard to carry around because all the other body parts were not really relaxed, were not included in the awareness process. So we kind of lose easily our focus again. Like the next person comes, talks with us, and then we have to let go of that point basically, and mindfulness kind of crashes down again, which we all experienced, I guess. I'm not a master of this yet, but I experienced myself that if you establish a body mindfulness more broadly, basically the whole body, not necessarily 100%, but in a broader scope than just on one point, then this mindfulness is more sustainable outside of your meditation cushion. And walking chongrom, walking meditation is a perfect practice for that, for getting that sense of the body into a movement. And if you can hold it in walking back and forth on your meditation path, then you getting stronger mindfulness and stronger samadhi in the end. And the Buddha said this in one sutta, like walking meditation is really conducive for long-term samadhi, long-term peace and composure of the mind. So I have to watch the time. How long do we have? 8:30. Keep on talking until 8:30. Okay, so you have to bear with me 13 more minutes. Yeah, so you see, I like the breath meditation. So, yes, so I just want to give you, so that was the underlying principle, just to explain how I practice, how many teachers practice and get good results out of it. And there are some easy, simple instructions for the beginner, and not just for the beginner, which I recently found out because they're so simple that you overlook them, right? Kind of my interest is to research where does this breath meditation come from, or this concept of chi we have in the Chinese, or the prana in the Indian tradition, or in many other traditions. Basically, all high cultured societies had kind of this understanding of basically manipulating the breathing process for happiness and wisdom. So this is quite interesting. Like in Chinese, we have this Taoist tradition, which is also really, really good at breath meditation. And kind of my theory is that it's just a personal hypothesis, that this deeper understanding of what the breath energy is get kind of eclipsed a little bit out of the Buddhist tradition through the centuries. That is kind of my feeling I have, because we still find some pockets in other traditions which were close to this Buddhist tradition, especially in China. Confucianism, Taoism, they kind of had this long-term engagement with the breathing practices. You know, Qigong and Tai Chi Chuan and stuff like that came out of that and still is practiced. Maybe many people of you practice it. And that's the same kind of, paradigm I'm talking about. And when we investigate more of these kind of outer Buddhist, non-Buddhist traditions or techniques of breath meditation, then we get some good advice here and there, which is useful for our Buddhist meditation. At least I find that really helpful. Also in the yoga tradition, they do pranayama, right? We don't have to do pranayama, but here and there they have some good techniques of especially starting meditation sessions. So what I recently found out, and I practice this a lot, is you might have heard of the Visuddhimagga, like there's kind of counting instructions, like with the breathing, right? We breathe in 1, 1, 2, 2, until 5 or 10 or even unlimited. Yeah. Every teacher kind of explains it differently. With the in-breath, out-breath, 1, and then 2 until 10, and we count backwards. If we lose mindfulness, we start again, kind of as a practice. And I practiced it myself for a long time, and I didn't really like it. I didn't get calm through it. But recently, I kind of looked up a little bit about pranayama, about the yoga tradition, and I find also counting the breathing, but we are counting the length of the breathing, of the in-breath and out-breath. So basically what I do, and it's called in the Indian traditions, I think called Samariti, I guess. Sama means even breathing, they call it. It's basically globally a little, it's quite on vogue right now. They even use it in the military and call it box breathing. But I'm not doing kind of what they do. I just simplify it, and it really works well for me. Is you breathe in, and in the beginning you count to 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Out breathing in with the same count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But you cannot take my pace. You have to find your own rhythm to your own bodily condition right now, to your own mind state right now. So you have to play around with it. You have to count a little bit faster, or a little bit quicker. A little bit slower, or you add up numbers like 5. You count to 5 or 6. If you can count to 8, you're really good already. You're calm and the body is really relaxed. But 4 is kind of a beginning advice, and I use 4 a lot. And if I get a little bit calm, I kind of slow down my rate of counting. So I hope you kind of understood. This is really basic. I'm breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming to the end of the in-breath, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is basic, this is simple. But if you're not doing it right, you don't get the benefits. And I try to explain you right now quickly how to do it right. You have to establish first a proper breathing technique. And I hope you kind of Chinese background people do a lot of Qigong or other stuff are know about the belly breathing. That modern people like us, normally we breathe up in the chest, like, which is a kind of agitated breathing. That's why we get tense. That's why we get some illnesses even. That's why we cannot find peace, because we don't breathe properly. So the proper breathing is down in the belly. So it's called diaphragmatical breathing, I guess, in English. We have the diaphragm. This is this big muscle here. And with the in-breath, we push it down into our guts and organ, that the belly expands. It comes out of it. And then we let that thing go. The out-breathing happens by itself. We breathe in down. We really, in the beginning, we push it down if you're not familiar with it. Kind of the organs and the guts get a bit squeezed, but don't be afraid. Nothing will break, right? If you do it gently, they get massaged, as you know from Chinese medicine. If we move them a bit, they get massaged. It's good for them, actually, and you feel it. The belly comes out, and you stretch the muscles around the belly, around the waist a bit. Really kind of pregnant woman style. Push it out. And do this a few times, deep breathing in, holding it a few seconds, and just then letting it out, right? And this is the crucial point. This is for me, the non plus ultra. This is the most important point. When you breathe in, you do it actively. Your mind engages in the in-breathing. Basically, the mind helps the in-breathing until the belly is kind of full, or the in-breathing comes to an end. And then we disengage with our mind. We just let the body out-breathe itself. And this is something you have to play around a bit to really get that benefit, that understanding that we normally pushing out the out-breath, and that creates extra tensions, which we want to get rid of and avoid coming back again. So in-breathing into the belly, and then just letting it go. Sometimes it feels no air comes out. It feels awkward in the beginning. So I would recommend you to try this lying down on your back, really relaxed, kind of in a yoga corpse posture, hands up or down, it doesn't matter, but just really relax on your back with a pillow behind your head a bit. And then breathe into the belly, relax the muscles around the belly, around the waist. There's a lot of tensions holding all the time. And then just let the breath breathe itself out. Let it come out naturally. And you will find, it sounds weird, it feels like not the same amount is coming out. I don't know, maybe you will have this experience. I feel this regularly. It's still strange to me, but that's how it feels. So something gets absorbed inside. It's my theory. But how it works, I don't know, but I actually don't care much, because it feels really, really good. And it leads to a pleasant abiding in the here and now. and to relaxation. And this belly breathing, I call it, right? Belly breathing, diaphragmatical breathing, or dantian in Chinese, I think. This area is really important. That's the center, the gravity center of our body. And here also is the chi hai, the center of our, they call it breath energy, right? The center of our breath energy. And when we focus the mind there and breathe down deeply, the full capacity of the lungs gets used. If we just breathe up there in the chest, it's just like short, just the upper part of the chest gets used, of the lungs, sorry. So if the diaphragm pulls it down, whole oxygen, the whole air comes into full lungs, and they have space to extend downwards, which is, according to anatomy, it should be like that. So this is to be learned first. And when you do that, after a while, you will feel that this letting go of the out breath, of basically not squeezing the air out, in that out breath, there is a potential, a really high potential of relaxation. And you have to consciously do it. You can tell it yourself in the mind. You have to relax, especially the muscles around your waist. This is my tension belt, I find. Every day I get this tension belt around, unconsciously, through just walking, sitting, thinking, talking. Through my bad posture, I'm quite tall, so I have kind of a leaning forward posture, and that makes, especially from the back, a lot of tensions. And this is the first part I try to relax when I sit down meditating. Even now I'm doing it while I'm talking to you sometimes. And in that out breathing, you have a potential of feeling that awareness in the body even more. With that relaxation, you have to consciously do it in a way, but it's also passively. It's hard to describe. You will see yourself. You kind of do it and you're not doing. You allow it to just relax. And then what you will find is, especially from the belly area, some warmth starts to develop and goes down the legs. Some relaxation, maybe some blood vessels get unlocked, or nerves or lymph fluid, or breath energy channels, chi channels, get open up, whatever you believe, but you will feel it 100% if you're doing it right. It will get warm, and relaxation will go down your legs. And if you feel it the first time, you may be surprised. But when it happens the third time, fourth time, you should then aim at staying with that feeling, staying in it. It will dissolve, it comes up, this warmth you will feel, and then it dissipates because it's also anicca. But you stay in that area with your awareness. And when you do that more and more, the mind just calms down. The body relaxes, and a relaxed, happy body makes a relaxed, happy mind. So I hope you kind of play around with that. If you don't practice that already, then forgive me to have bored you, but it's always good to hear it from other people and what they think about it. And yeah, I think we're coming to the end, and I don't know how we proceed. Maybe if you have some questions or you have to hang up now, I give the MC back to the Venerable. Haipon. In Pali or Chinese? You want to do Chinese? Please, you give, please. Yeah.
来回向啊，我们用这个回向祈愿文，请翻开第31页。
I invite the Venerable to give the blessing in Chinese, which is, for your understanding better. It's always good to understand what we chant.
Annamaya uti sanati thana gathayo banamase imina bunya gamena upajaya gunutara ajariyo bagaraja mata bita jayataka Suriyo Jandi Maharaja Guna Vandana Rapicha Rama Maharaja Indacha Roga Baraja Devata Yamomita Manusaja Majata Verika Bicha Sape Sata Sukhi Hontu Bunyani Pakata Nime Sukhan Jati Vitam Dentu Kipam Babeta Womatang Imina Bunya Gamena Imina Utisena Cha Kipahang Surape Chewa Danu Badana Chetanam Yesan Dhanne Dhamma Yawani Panato Mama Nasando Sabata Yewa Yata Jato Bhawe Bhawe Uchu Chitan Sati Banya Sare Koviriyamina Marala Pandu Nogasam Katu Chaviriye Sume Uttadi Pavaro Nato Dhammo Nato Varutamo Nato Pacheka Puto Cha Sangho Nato Taro Mama Deso Dhammanubhavena Maroga Sangrapantuma. Can you read it in English?
The English. I think there was once another chart that had a melody to it, but I don't remember. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of Death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana. In every kind of birth, may I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. All my blessings and good wishes down to the peninsula, Malaysia, Singapore, where we listen. And yeah, I'm anumodana for the practice and spending your time kind of listening to Ajahns and monks, kind of giving a little bit encouragement in the Dhamma. So Anumodana for all of you, and may you all be happy and well.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Shall we pay respect to Ajahn?
First bow. Second bow. And third bow.
Bow first. Okay.
Really good chanters, these both venerables here. Quite impressed. Arahant Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddham Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakando Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami